This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
Welcome to the Stop Listen Podcast. I am your host, Jamie. I am a Christian conservative, and that's the viewpoint you're going to hear from here. I still get a fair amount of dislikes on my video. I mean, I'm just going to keep on doing me, and hopefully more of my audience will find me. But, I mean, it's certainly not all bad. I mean, I get a lot of great responses. If you are a conservative, there's a channel out there called The Conservative, the Cajun Conservative, which he's changing his name. I made a suggestion to him, but we've kind of interacted here and there. He's got his own channel, and the dude's awesome. He's Cajun. He's definitely Cajun. Awesome channel, and hopefully we're going to do something together soon. I'm just clueless on how to do that and make that happen. But I did have some interaction with him today, and that was cool. So I had an idea. The last episode I was covering Dave Smith and the Libertarian Party and what I think should happen to them, where they should go. And I mentioned Cornell West, who's running for president. And then there's Jill Stein. And RFK I've covered extensively. And then there's Chase Oliver. Who are these people? Who are these people running for the highest office in the nation? Let's find out. So RFK I've covered extensively. Former Democrat, wanted to challenge Joe Biden to a primary, and the DNC wouldn't allow it. So he broke off and ran as independent, and then he's got a party, We the People Party, or something like that. I don't really know. I don't know how well that's going. RFK is awesome in a lot of ways, and I want him to be part of the Trump administration in the future, if there is one, and I would love to see him go after Big Pharma, because that's kind of his thing. This book I've talked about many times. The real Anthony Fauci, about Big Pharma, Bill Gates, and all that stuff. And it is, I listened to it. I haven't read it. I listened to the audiobook. It was great. It was very, very good. And he could do a tremendous amount for our country still. He's radically leftist on bodily autonomy, choice. And a worm ate his brain, apparently. So there's that. That's about as far as I'm going to get into Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But who are these other folks? Chase Oliver, as soon as it came out that he was the candidate, he's a pro-mask, pro-vaccine. So, like, right when he first got the nomination, it came out. I mean, he's like a gay race communist, is the way I heard it described. I don't know what that means exactly. Mask, openly gay, in favor of vaccine mandates from companies, as long as it's not the government. So he's a fan of nuanced liberty. Does he have a vote? Chase Oliver. All right, so I think this is his page. Okay, so from just Wikipedia is the best. I'm going to not dig too deep. So in 2020, he ran against the dearly departed John Lewis and got 2% of the vote. In 2022, he ran for Senate, U.S. Senate, in that Raphael Warnock, Herschel Walker thing race that went horribly for the Republicans, because that Warnock is a radical man, and Herschel Walker came up a little bit short on the first down. And he also received 2% of the vote. So The standard libertarian typically gets 3, so he's a little bit behind the curve. So what happened at the Libertarian Convention was a guy with last name Rechtenwald, which is funny. I know a lady with last name Rechtenwald, but he was the leading candidate all the way through. And they have, like, I don't know exactly how it works, and I probably should look it up if I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not going to. So basically, the third place person, there was Rechtenwald, there was this guy, Chase Oliver was number 2, and there was a third place person. And the first place person was going to win. He was like more of the Mises Caucus type. And the third place person said, hey, listen, you vote for Chase, I'll be his vice president, and we'll get rid of this top guy, and that's exactly what happened. So what is in his platform? He is for open borders. I've heard that. Because he has this odd thing, like, he thinks it would work the same as if, like, you lived in a state and worked in another state, and you just kind of commune back and forth. He thinks that's how the country should work, meaning he's not really in favor of a country. He's open borders. So he says, collaborate with Congress to return to an Ellis Island style of processing immigrants. See, first off, he said immigrants, which I like. I mean, it's just correct of the word. I mean, what he's going for. And I kind of like that idea. I definitely think there should be very large facilities on the border to house immigrants, because they shouldn't just be allowed in this country. Like, do they have diseases? I mean, who are they? You know, if there's any question and they show up, yeah, they should be, all right, it's fine. You're here and you say you're a refugee. It's fine. You'll be safe in this facility that does lock. Then he says, create a simpler path to citizenship for immigrants who are already here. I disagree with that slightly, thinking that no, it actually should be just simpler across the board. It's expensive. They essentially have to hire a lawyer to do it, and I don't think it's easy to become a citizenship. Like, you know, the testing, the scrutiny, that's all good. That's we need that, but you have to have a okay. Like, if you're gonna have a Ellis Island type thing, like that worked for New York, right? But for a wide open border, you have to have a nice thick wall with a gate that leads to the immigration centers. He wants to expand HB1 visas. He's good. So I don't completely disagree with his stance on immigration, except for he wants that border to remain open. Empower people through justice. End qualified immunity for federal law enforcement so those abused or harmed by law enforcement can have their day in court. While the judge created a rule that allows public officials to escape civil liability for the abuse of citizens' rights is most often exercised at the state and local levels to shield rogue police officers, making federal agents liable for abuses of power would allow us to place pressure on state and local officials to file suit. I don't really disagree with that either, honestly. For police officers, be it, I mean, you have to really extend it. I mean, you have really, for a police officer, I think you really need to kind of look at it in a certain way. This is a very erotic picture of Lady Liberty here. I don't know if any of you all see that. She's perky. Okay, anyway.
Oh, I will not make out with
I
you.
think police officers must be given some latitude. They must be giving some room to work to do the job. But when they cross that very thick line that it should be, then the appropriate punishment should be even worse than it would be for your average citizen. So, flexibility at the bottom, harsh punishment at the top, and just reward in between. That's, if you want people to be held to a higher standard in something like this, you're going to have to pay them significantly more money. and the prosecution of victimless crimes. Instead, focus on law enforcement investigating and prosecuting crimes of violence, theft, fraud, or coercion. So, anything drugs, out the windows, what he thinks. No protecting people from themselves. That's kind of a libertarian mindset. And I mean, I understand the thought behind it, but I'm too loving of a person to just be able to step over somebody who has become addicted to drugs and cannot function. That's not freedom. That's not freedom. And he probably gets into some weird sexual shit too. I'm going to have to take a while. We'll replace the death penalty with humane alternatives. This is so weird, right? Because honestly, I'm against the death penalty too, but probably completely different reasons. Because I want people to find salvation and ask God for forgiveness. I'm guessing that's not the way he's going to go with this. I'm not even going to bother reading. Humane alternatives. Locking someone in a box for the rest of their lives is not, I don't know if that's humane. But like, I look at it as humane because you are preventing them from doing more evil. You're protecting them from themselves and them from whoever their victims may be. But I mean, I can't disagree with that. No, this is not going well. Well, and the failed war on drugs indefinitely. Cannabis, I mean, and I don't know. It's not fully legal in this country, and like it's been legal in Missouri fully legal for like a little over a year. You smell it a little more often. That's it. I mean, I have not heard of any negative consequences to having marijuana legal in Missouri. I'm sure there are a lot of people being stunted by their use, and that is a problem. That is for sure. I don't know about marijuana because some people have a harder time than others, but ultimately, no. I mean, and the war on drugs. Okay, would be going after the cartels, would that be libertarian? Because they don't like war. But I don't know what that means, because there are drug addicts laying on the streets everywhere. So no, I'm not really for ending the war on drugs, the cannabis. Let's just kind of move on from that. It's not without problems, but it's not horrible either. It has good and bad, same as alcohol, just different. Privacy. Repeal FISA. I agree with that. The Patriot Act. I wants to abolish the Patriot. I agree with that. End wars. See, that is the biggest problem with the Libertarian Party. Okay, and we're back. Now, folks, my phone just like in the middle of recording just told me that I'm out of storage. This shit is such a freaking ripoff. I didn't have that much on there, but whatever. Where was I at? What was this guy talking about? Oh, ending wars. Sometimes you have to. I said this in the last episode. When you have a country as big as us, either we can collapse like the Roman Empire, or we can be a world leader, guided by Christian principles, preferably. So, like, the way libertarians view war, I completely agree with, but they just have no allowance for it. And it's stupid.
Be angry, gringo. You're not smart enough to be angry. You're just mean and stupid.
Utilize trade as a bargaining chip to foment peace with our neighbors. Our neighbors are Canada and Mexico. We have a trade deal with Mexico, and we shouldn't, because they are allowing deadly drugs to come into our country. Create a thriving economy. He wants to pass a balanced budget amendment. Respect individual choice. Abortion. I will encourage the passage of the Hyde Amendment, which would prevent federal dollars from funding abortion clinics. I thought that was already the case, but they just do it anyway. Encourage alternatives to abortion, such as adoption. I mean, I say just no abortion, and then we work from there. You know, maybe these local churches who say they send off their money to I don't know, you know, some foreign nation, some country in Africa. They built them a well. I don't know. Maybe we help a young mother. That'd be cool too. And the student debt crisis. I don't know how they do that, but yes, go after the colleges, and the government should stop giving loans. It's a personal decision. If you want to take out a loan, it's either between you, likely your parents, which is difficult because some parents are pieces of shit. But get the government out of college, universities. Get it out from completely, and then find a way. There's got to be a legal way that they can go after the non-profit standing of universities, because they have these huge endowments. Like Columbia University got over $1 billion this year from the federal government. Why? And their students are going into debt. Gun rights for all, including felonies, I'm sure. Just because you're a convicted rapist who got out of prison early doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to protect yourself, right?
Are you stupid or something?
Here he says, I would urge Congress to remove limits on health savings accounts. Currently, these tax-deductible accounts are capped at $4,100 a year. I looked into that, and they said, oh, well, you have to have a high deductible. I was like, well, I mean, high according to me. But apparently it's like an actual classification. I don't know. It does seem like that could use a little tweaking. Inflation. Okay, he hasn't really mentioned anything about reducing the size of government. So that is Chase Oliver, folks. Cornell West. Dr. Cornell West. So his vice president is Melina Abdullah. All right, let's check out this platform. This is going to be good, folks. This is going to be good. Abolish poverty. First off, we have to define it before you can abolish it. Abolish homelessness. He wants more government. People who are addicted to drugs or have psychological issues to the point where they can't maintain employment, you're going to make sure they have homes. Now, is he talking about prison? Because that, I might be a little bit more okay with that, but I'm guessing his answer is to just open up. Well, I can't say checkbook because just build. We just maybe these new Democratic voters that's being hauled into this country, maybe they can build houses for the people. Next, he says establish federal public banking institutions to fund public infrastructure and green reconstruction. I mean, so he wants to establish something to give away money with no money way of bringing it back. A universal basic income. Commission. We need a commission first. Wealth tax on billionaires. And all tax loopholes for the oligarchy. I mean, in principle, I get that, but like, I mean, national $27 minimum wage with specific considerations for specific geographies where $27 an hour would not be a family-sustaining wage. So, just a couple of years ago, when all these lefties were yelling about Fight for 15, and we said, I could say we have a podcast there, but I was barking to whoever would listen. This is just temporary. Fight for 15, that's, you're gonna hit that and you keep on going, and we are down to $27 an hour. Mandatory minimum of 6 months of fully paid parental leave. So, mandatory means you don't have a choice. You have to stay home. So, what if the father is a derelict in his duties and just impregnated the woman and said, "All right, peace"? Does he have to take 6 months off after the baby's born too? This is awesome. This is just keeps on going and going and going. Like, everything on here is horrible. End the gun violence epidemic. National Gun Registry database for all civilians, similar to the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act database for hazardous materials. Establish similar requirements for driver's license to gun ownership. See, because he thinks it's easier to get a gun than to get a driver's license. Drastically limit the number of sales at gun shows. Now, national red flag law that expedites the process of gun confiscation from individuals who pose a danger to themselves and communities. So you say your neighbor's being loud? I live in an apartment. If this guy over here is being too loud, I could tell the cops that I asked him to quiet down and he threatened me with a gun. And then they'll go, under this idea, they'll go take his guns, and then he'll have to prove that he should have them. So he's guilty unless he can prove himself innocent. Minimum wage of $80,000 for all U.S. public school teachers. So you become a kindergarten teacher just out of college, and he wants you to be paid $80,000 a year. Dude, this is just astounding when you go see this. So look at Cornell West 2024. How radical this is. But he is not being nuanced about it. He's not, we'll just throw it in here and there. Because, like, the politicians, and I can't just say from one side or the other, there's definitely one side that it identifies more with this guy. But they just pepper it in. They sprinkled in here and here. And so it's like, oh, well, we get used to the terms. Universal basic income, we just keep hearing more and more about it. And we're like, eventually they increase how much they talk about something. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, like, that's just, of course. Why wouldn't you transition children? You just sprinkle it in. Oh, yeah, reparations. Codify the Justice for Black Farmers Act for immediate execution. Execution? This is wild, folks. This is freaking wild. Oh, and Cornell West, I didn't get into his background, but he is a race hustler. I think he teaches at a university, and then makes his guest appearances on MSNBC time to time. Jill Stein, what is she? I have no idea what she is. I don't think I've ever heard her talk, which is odd. She's ran for president multiple times, but, like, I've never heard her talk. Like, dude, you need better PR. She's a physician, activist, and politician. She's 2012, 2016, and now 2024. So this is her third time running. Will she crack 2%? Okay, Jill Stein 2024. So we got the communist fist here. You can tell where this is going. Now, it's been said in our country, we should lead, peace through strength. I'm guessing they're going to say peace through the boot on your neck. I think that's probably where she's going to go here. People. Lifelong public education for all institutions of learning. Lifelong. So you guarantee people free public education, which means you have to guarantee teachers of the free public education, which if ultimately means you may have to, require people to become teachers. And some might say that is a totalitarian, communist type government. You don't want anything to do with that. Free child care. Ban corporate stock buybacks. Now, I know that's how Elon took back Twitter, and that may be the only reason for that including, because I've never really heard of that as a talking point. Just a little Social Security talk up here. Labor. Oh, no, she wants $25 minimum wage. So Cornell West wants 27, she wants 25. Unionize all federal employees. Okay, federally mandate and fund 3 weeks of paid sick leave, 8 weeks of paid vacation per year. 8 weeks. I get 10 days, so I get 2 weeks. And 1 year for new parents. See, you got the Republican Party, the establishment Republican Party, with a few conservative members. Then you have the radical left-leaning Democratic Party who keeps going further and further left. Then you have the Green Party, who is even more radical. And then you have Cornell West, even more radical, just with regards to race. We don't have a radical right-wing party in this country. Now, people say that's MAGA. Okay. But that's not its own party. Codify Roe versus Wade. Free health care for everybody. Ooh, long COVID.
I'm a dying man, scared of the dark.
Abolish the Electoral College. Popular vote. Ooh, ban stock trading by legislators. I agree with that. Prohibit lobbying of any kind by former members of Congress. I like that. Ban government contractors from donating to political campaigns. Wow. I mean, see this. Lower the voting age of 16. Oh, hey, how many trust? Okay, so how many 16-year-olds do you trust to put together your value meal at McDonald's accurately, to the proper temperatures, safe, everything? I don't. She's for abolishing the death penalty too. I told you what I think about that. Peace. Okay, that's people, the planet. Okay, so she's saying extend the timeline for zero emissions by 15 to 20 years to 2050. So she wants to allow more time for emissions. Okay, so because like what was just said above, she says achieve a 100% clean renewable energy and zero to negative carbon emissions by no later than 2035. And all forms of subsidies to the fossil fuel industry. Well, you don't need to do that if you're going zero emissions or whatever she said. So she says end all forms of subsidies to the fossil fuel industry, which I don't disagree with, but there's no need for that if you're going zero carbon emissions by 2035, right? Finish up with a little bit about piece of shit. It's crazy. Class the vast majority of the 700 plus foreign U.S. military bases. Lead on global nuclear disarmament. So we do it first. we, who at least used to be a Christian nation, we'll go ahead and we'll get rid of our nuclear weapons, and you, countries that have long since gotten rid of any kind of religious belief system that there's a higher power that we have to answer to, you guys keep your nuclear weapons. And then by us, the U.S., giving them up, maybe you'll follow our lead. Maybe. Or not. Probably not. But, you know. Just close the Guantanamo Bay Detention Center. Remember when Obama was running on that? I wonder what happened with that. Is it still out down there? So I agree with Chase Oliver on far more things than I thought I would. I'd never in a million years vote for him. Cornell West and Jill Stein are terrifying, but the fact that they are on the political landscape just goes to show you how far left our country's going. It's because the right, the conservatives, Christians, whatever, however you want to lump us together, have been quiet for far too long. So there you have it, folks. So I'm going to close with a tweet of the day. 2 tweets, actually. Dr. Jordan Peterson responding, reposting a article from the New York Times saying, my suspicion is that Donald Trump will outlast the New York Times. That is close to 80. I may outlast the New York Times. I probably will, but not sure about that one. But this is this one here. As a political ploy, I can't imagine a worse disaster than this trial. If the Democrats and the ideas that drive them stumble into this, the same applies. My bet is Trump popularity soars, and 2/3 of Americans will conclude the justice system cannot be trusted. And the reason this is worthy of note, I thought, is that Jordan Peterson knows people. He's a doctor. He's had patients. He knows the mind. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. Take it for what it's worth. I don't know. Let's hope. So that's all I got. I can't just do nonstop Trump coverage, so, I mean, it is what it is. I'll keep trying to find ways to inform and entertain. But, I don't know. See what happens. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
All I want to know is who's coming with me.
This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
This war stops now.
End the war. Bring freedom to our people.
No. No more tricks. No more lies. Only truth.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!